Hello everyone. This was a good week of chapters, despite Black Clover being off, and it seems as though it's off again next week, I think. It's off for a little bit, but this was a good week overall. So we'll be starting off with One Piece, chapter 1069, and this was a good chapter showing the continued drama on Egghead, with Lucci and Luffy not being able to help themselves and fighting one-on-one, going full awakened mode, with Vegapunk getting extremely excited to see Luffy in his awakened form, explaining that there was never a Gum Gum fruit and that everyone else is confused at the fact that that's what Luffy always says. So why isn't he the Gum Gum fruit user? And we learn a bit more about the devil fruits, though it's a bit over my head to a degree, as it's mostly Vegapunk stating stuff that's all over the place. Their devil fruits are humanity pushing past their limits and achieving dreams, and that they all exist in a different dimension than everyone else, and that the ocean, the mother of nature, hates the devil fruits, and that's why her punishment is if you eat one you cannot swim. We also see that the Navy headquarters actually tells CP0 not to attack Luffy, as they need a lot more authority to attack a Yonko, and Lucci ignores that because he can't help himself, as I said, and Kaku and Stussy are forced to kind of pseudo support in the background, fighting off the Seraphim, when the axe guy from Sabaody is there, seemingly working more for Vegapunk than the world government, and plans on helping the Straw Hats, at least for now. But Rob Lucci takes care of him, at least for the moment, and now the Seraphim will only follow the CP0's orders because the axe guy gets taken care of, who had a higher authority than CP0. So the battle is getting more intense, and the drama itself is getting bigger, as we hear that Barceliano is making his way to the island to support Rob Lucci and co., meaning this is going to get very out of hand very quickly. I wonder how many of the Vegapunks will survive all of this, and if Egghead will survive. I imagine they have to leave and quickly, with the more or less entirety of Vegapunk's operation on the Sunny, and they have to escape Egghead, leaving it that the island itself is now under the control of the world government. All their technology, all their secrets, all the whole 9 yards is now up to the government, and there's nothing any of them can do about it, and leaving a huge power up for the government, and ultimately just allowing the Straw Hats to gain a little bit of power with Vegapunk's expertise. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter a B. It was a good chapter, seeing Lucci and Luffy fighting again, as well as seeing how the real awakened Zoan fruit looks, as it seems as though the white clouds over Luffy also happens to everyone. And I saw on Twitter and everything that the theory of why Kaido didn't have it was because he had to use his clouds to keep Onigashima up, which makes sense, because again, I fully believe that pretty much all of the Zoan users on Wano were awakened, probably not to the extent that Luffy and Lucci are, but I think they all were, and the traditional awakening of Zoan fruits were. Seeing Lucci have this massive power up and pretty much be on par with Luffy was really interesting, as well as to see the reaction of the other Straw Hats to their fight, as none of them got to see it during Wano, and so this was sort of their first time seeing Luffy's new power and how strong he is. So that was pretty fun, as well as seeing the admiration that the real Dr. Vegapunk had for the form and the whole 9 yards. It was pretty interesting to see all of that, as well as the fact that things are going south very quickly, with Jinbei and Chopper now having to run and find their way up to Egghead's lab while protecting Atlas and Bonnie, with Luffy basically having to fight a 3-on-1, or eventually like a 7-on-1, and he'll probably end up coming out pretty close to on top, though Lucci makes that a little bit more iffy because he seemingly is on par. Seeing that he's that close to Luffy's power is pretty interesting, and again, leading Lucci to be Luffy's quote-unquote greatest rival in terms of pure combat is rather fun to see that Lucci hasn't lost a step. So the next few weeks should be interesting, though they're off next week, which is fine. It'll be interesting to see where this battle goes and how long it will go before eventually the Straw Hats escape once again. So now we're on to Mission Yozakura Family, chapter 158, and this was a good chapter revealing the blooming of Koyoichiro, that it is called Void, and it is that his string is imbued with his blood, and whatever their magical energy is in the thread, and the thread goes into everything, cutting it up to the atom, destroying everything around it. Thus, it's very dangerous blooming, and he explains he was a late bloomer as it first awoke when Momo had seemingly killed the mother and the main female character. Momo had left, seeing as how things were dangerous in that moment, and so he never saw it. We see that Momo is more or less stuck, but everyone else is protected by Koyoichiro's guardian thread. So the whole boat is being cut up and destroyed, and it's only Momo suffering the consequences as Koyoichiro is unaffected by his own blooming. Momo ends up snapping after Koyoichiro says he could not fulfill his promise of being able to protect everyone, including Momo, when another piece of Momo, maybe the real one, not the insane one, I don't know, kind of comes forth and reveals that Koyoichiro did protect him as well as everyone, as he saved the seeming heart of their mother. And so we get to see this duality of what Momo is, I guess, the caring sort of father and the insane one. It doesn't really make all that much sense. It should be interesting to see how the next chapter explains this a little more, but for now it's pretty cool to see Koyoichiro's blooming in full effect. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter a B. Like I said, it was good to see Koyoichiro's blooming in full effect and see how powerful it is, let alone how powerful he is, that pretty much nothing can really affect him. It makes you wonder why he didn't use it earlier, but maybe he saves it for special occasions. Maybe he can't do it very frequently because it just destroys too much, who knows, but he used it here, and it seems as though they have in fact won. Now I'm curious to see what will happen next if the series again does what I hope it kind of does, where we get back to the normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill silliness the family gets up to as they now have to try to rebuild their reputation as Momo tanked it to the ground. That would be fun. Get a couple more villains of the week here and there, maybe a major arc, whatever. You can keep the story going quite a while, and I hope it kind of does. But if it ends here, it was still a fun ride while it was around. So it'll be interesting to see what the next few weeks give in terms of the direction of the series going forward. But for now, the fighting with Momo is seemingly over outside of a last-minute explanation before Momo disappears. So now we're on to Undead Unluck, chapter 139, and this was a good chapter showing the continued craziness of Fuko and her plans as we see the different quests and their various rewards. And she explains her plan to try to find the artifact Remember, as she had looked everywhere for it and eventually theorized that it was a reward from a quest and thus proven right. Now we've learned that the seats are important in the fact that they are the only ones that they can go on the missions. So only Gina and Fuko can go on any of the quests, leading it to being a very difficult task to defeat Autumn, who was very powerful last we saw and is probably just as powerful as before without the help of Andy and several other negators trying to destroy it, as well as trying to find Unavoidable, as I got that wrong last week, thinking it was Creed and Undecrease, but instead it was the first negator we kind of met outside of Andy in Unavoidable, the big metal monster that arrived that was going to kill Fuko Fuko, but eventually Andy saved her by killing him. So we see that he is a heavyweight boxer, one of the best of all time, and I guess his tragedy is probably that he beats his opponent to death by accident because they can't avoid his blows, and then he's probably shunned and whatever. We don't really know it yet because we didn't really meet this character at all, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. We then see that the one who actually has Unavoidable right now is this 99 or 98-year-old man who's not very useful in combat. So Fuko then decides that she's going to have to wait on Unavoidable so that it goes to Void, the heavyweight boxer, and that she can get the most powerful version of Unavoidable. So now it's going to go to Gina and Fuko to go after Autumn. Their plan is just to have Fuko be turned into a book and Gina enter said book and learn how to power up, more or less, like she did with Andy many arcs ago, in the same vein, having Gina then escape the book and defeat Autumn pretty much on her own. So it'll be pretty interesting to see what happens there and how this plan works. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter a B. It was good seeing the continued wackiness of Fuko and her plans, and the continued bonding of this crew as both Nico and his future wife chastise Fuko for not having a plan, and then continuously hesitating to tell them what her plan is, which I thought was rather fun, and to see Gina being so gung-ho about helping and being so very loyal to Fuko that she's willing to do whatever it is that she needs to do to help. So those are all very interesting to see and nice to see, and it'll be interesting to see how many more allies that Fuko can gain through all of this, and I wonder if she's able to succeed in stopping Void's tragedy from happening. So now we're on to Mashle, Magic and Muscles, chapter 136, and this was a good chapter showing just how powerful Mash is, especially when he is angry. The whole world watches as Mash arrives and is very much not thrilled because they do not believe he can win. Mash charges forward and eats a hit first from Doom. Doom continues to belittle him, saying that the greatest magic user in the world could not stop him, so nothing will, especially a person without magic. And so he's thinking this is going to be an easy fight, but Mash punches him in the gut, which drops Doom to his knees, which was the first time that's happened amongst all of them, as every Divine Visionary tried, and all of them failed. But Mash did it in one punch. Mash then tells him to get up, and as soon as he does, Mash punches him again, which sends him across the room into the ground, in which case you can tell he's very much affected by both punches, and Mash is very much pissed at Doom for hurting his friends and is going to prolong this beatdown as long as he feels necessary. It was a very hyped chapter, and seeing a lot of that, seeing the punches land and the effects they had on Doom, they're very well done, and the author seemingly very much knows this, and you could feel the impact of this whole thing as you watch the crowd and the other visionaries who are awake be stunned by Mash completely dominating Doom, which was something no one thought possible until now, which I thought was very fun, and I think led to this chapter being a lot better and more fun than it would be otherwise. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter a B. It was good, even great, to see the fighting and how Mash dominated. It'll be even more interesting to see how this battle continues and how Mash beats Doom, and eventually Innocent Zero at that, seeing as how I believe he's probably going to push this as long as humanly possible, to the point that Doom almost begs for mercy. But maybe he won't, maybe he'll go toe-to-toe. It'll be interesting to see what Doom looks like at 100%, and if Mash can handle it, I imagine he will, and to see how close this fight gets at that moment, or if Mash will continue to dominate, just showing how much more powerful he is than everyone else. So now we're on to Sakamoto Days, chapter 99, and this was a great chapter, showing the backstory to Shishibi's mentor, the son of the database, Amain's father, and how everything went down truthfully. So we see that Shishibi's mentor was a family man like Sakamoto, but continued being an assassin as his wife was an assassin as well, but stayed home after the birth of their son, Amain. We see that he asks Shishibi to take care of Amain if anything were to happen to him, as well as the fact that he was a relatively good guy. Everything seemingly was fine. He was basically Sakamoto, but a little bit more chill, which was actually really interesting. everything. Makes you feel bad about the whole thing. Eventually we hear that he has to try to take out co-conspirators against the JAA's chairman, as he was the right-hand man, and eventually it is revealed that his wife was only his wife and the mother of his child, so that she can get him to be vulnerable to take him out, so that her and her group of co-conspirators can take out the JAA and, I guess, take them down, whatever, destroy society, go on a killing spree, whatever their real motive was. It was just to take down the JAA and destroy the assassins itself. She takes a main hostage after knocking him out and threatens to kill him if Shishibe's mentor makes a move. After realizing the threat and knowing that it's real, there's nothing he can do, he ends up killing his wife. Unfortunately for him, Amain woke up just as it was already done. Thus, we get the reveal that the father is in fact a good guy, like Sakamoto had said initially, and that Amain unfortunately did wake up at a very unfortunate time, that he believes that his father killed his mother for no reason when his mother was actually the evil participant in this. I wonder if he told this whole story to Shishibe because he knows he's about to die, or if we just got that knowledge just to add to the level of heartbreak that could happen here, as it's very much seemingly implied that Shishibe is in a similar boat to his mentor with Osuragi, but Osuragi is a bit more spacey and just sort of around. She's just enjoying herself, seemingly, just living life that she wants to. So I don't think there's a real threat that she's going to rebel, but you never know. So this whole chapter was a little bit more tragic than I think anyone would have thought, with this reveal that Shishibe's mentor is in fact the good guy and Amain woke up at the wrong time. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter an A. I thought the major reveal of Shishibe's mentor being the good guy was well done, very well done, and the fact that the whole thing now very much makes sense on why the database didn't hate Amain's father, Shishibe's mentor, and that everything made sense to everyone else but Amain, and even Sakamoto defended him. And so now with this answer, it again leads to a bit more tragedy for him. Now again, I don't know what side he's on, because I don't know how this affected him. Did he stay on as a order member? Did he leave? Which I think he did. That's why Shishibe's hunting him down. But I don't imagine he's with Slur. So there's a lot of questions that I think the next few chapters will answer, as this was a major answer to a major question. And now it'll be interesting to see if someone tells Amain the truth about what happened, or if Shishibe kills his mentor here and Amain never really learns the truth. We'll have to see, and the next few chapters should be very exciting. So that was all of the major chapters. Many different reveals happen, from One Piece revealing Lucci's awakened ability and more truths about the devil fruits. Mashle revealed Koyoichiro's blooming, showing in full detail what it does and how powerful it is. Undead Unluck revealing the different missions and what they're going to do about it, how they're going to do their mission. Mashle revealed the power of Mash, and Sakamoto Days had the biggest reveal of all, and that is the truth of what actually happened to Amain's mother, as well as revealing that Amain's father is in fact the good guy. So now we're on to everything else, and My Hero was fine. Blue Box was fine, if not more annoying. Tokyo Demon Bride was fine. Cypher Academy continues to be fine. Nothing overly great. The Ichino's family's Deadly Sin was fine. Continues to be interesting. I would like to see a little bit more, but for now it's good, it's fine. Elusive Samurai was good, as it seems as though the good guys have won the day, as the enemy is retreating after they had killed the horseman. So it'll be interesting to see how this fighting and war continues, as the villain side keeps retreating but continues to seemingly take steps forward in attempting to win this war. So the next coming chapter should be pretty fun in this one. P times 6 was good, leaving me more confused but intrigued than ever before as Lucky seemingly passes out in front of his mother's grave, very much confused with what his purpose is, as well as we see that the other characters have moved on to different things. So it should be pretty interesting to see what happens in the coming chapters. Ginka and Luna was good, as we get to see Luna continue to fight against a major seeming villain, putting my theory into slight doubt, but you never quite know, as it's revealed that Ginka took this evil woman's eye for whatever reason, and Luna is trying to figure out why, as well as trying to get this book and win while not getting caught. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And finally, there is another new series, as they've decided to cram as many as humanly possible in Fabricant 100. And this was an intriguing series, and I think it has a lot of interesting potential, as it's basically a different version to a degree in a similar story structure to Black Butler, where this monster creature who wants to find the best human parts, that's what all the Fabricants are, teams up with a survivor of like the ultimate human beings, and he plans to give himself up to her once he turns 18, being perfect health and everything, if she helps him destroy all 99 other Fabricants. It'll be an interesting story to see how their relationship grows, how this whole battle between all the Fabricants go. It'll be very interesting. I actually look forward to seeing how this one goes a lot. I think this one has a lot of potential, so I'm very curious to see what happens here, because the first 2 chapters have been very good in my opinion. So that was everything. That was all of the chapters. It was a good week overall, like I said, with some very surprising reveals and some very interesting developments across all of the chapters, with the newest few being good, and hopefully they continue to pick up speed so that they can survive past the dreaded chapter 20. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and as always, thank you for watching.